Yes, sir. Ms. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Cusick?
Here.
Thank you. That's 6 present.
Thank you. An introduction of staff, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jamie Fensky. I'll be the planner for tonight's meeting. To my left, I have Mark Kennedy, our IT staff. To my right, I have Jesse, another planner with us. And all the way to the end on the right is Fred Townsend, our legal counsel.
Thank you. And at this time, we'll all stand in for the pledge. Any additions or alterations to the agenda tonight?
No, sir.
And public hearing introduction.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jamie Fensky, and I'll preside as the hearing officer for tonight's public hearing. This hearing is being conducted for the purpose of providing the citizens of the county an opportunity to present testimony on these applications before the Kent County Board of Adjustment. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. This will provide those who wish an opportunity to give their testimony. If there is a group of interested citizens in favor or opposed to any of the applications, they may wish to elect one spokesperson among them to present testimony to the board. There is an official recording of these proceedings being made. Therefore, we ask that only one person speak at a time and that they speak clearly. Furthermore, there should be no cross-examination of witnesses permitted during the public hearing, but the board can ask the applicant questions after any opposition if necessary. As a courtesy to other participants in this hearing, a maximum of 5 minutes will be allotted to any person who wishes to provide testimony. The chairperson of the board has the discretion to allow additional time if deemed to be necessary. To make statements when your application is called and for the record, please give your name, address, and allow our attorney to swear you in prior to providing testimony. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification so that they may be included in the permanent record. The procedure on each variance application will be as follows. The legal notice will be read on each case prior to the receipt of testimony. There will be a brief explanation of the application by the staff. The board will then receive testimony from all of those in favor of the application, followed by testimony of those who may be opposed. Once those persons in favor and those in opposition have had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on that application will be declared closed. Decisions on all applications heard this evening will be made by the board during the business meeting following the public hearing. However, you are not required to remain after the public hearing once your request has been heard and closed. During the business meeting, the board will consider all information of record. A common vote of 4 members of the board shall be required to make a decision on each application. If you do not wish to wait for the business meeting later this evening, you may call the Kent County Planning Department tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. at 744-2471 or check the Kent County Planning Department website to learn of the board's ruling. All applicants will receive written notification of the board's decision. This notice may not be mailed until after the next scheduled meeting, but if approved, you are welcome to apply for any necessary permits prior to receiving this by mail. Please keep this decision in your records for both you and all future property owners. The public notice of this evening's hearing was published on May 28, 2023 in the Delaware State News. In addition, all of the subject properties were posted with a sign prior to the public hearing to further notify the public of the nature of the applications. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And now we'll have a statement by counsel. Fred?
Thank you. The test for the granting of area variances is set forth by the Delaware Supreme Court in the case known as Board of Adjustment versus QuickCheck Realty, Inc. The legal standard applicable to area variances considers whether a literal interpretation of zoning regulations results in exceptional practical difficulties of ownership. And to determine whether the test is met, the board must consider the following 4 factors: the nature of the zone where the property lies, the character and uses of the immediate vicinity, whether removal of the restriction on the applicant's property would seriously affect neighboring properties, and lastly, whether failure to remove the restrictions creates an exceptional practical difficulty of ownership for the owner in relation to his efforts to make normal improvements to the property. This factor is met only when the difficulties alleged by the owner are practical rather than theoretical and exceptional rather than routine. And it is also here where the board considers whether the applicant is seeking more relief than is minimally necessary to relieve the asserted difficulty. In general, the board is not permitted to consider factors other than the ones I've listed. Therefore, those speaking both in support of and in opposition to applications are urged to present only information bearing on 1, the nature of the zoning district, 2, the characteristics of the area, 3, whether the requested variances would seriously affect neighboring properties, and 4, whether the applicant is confronted with challenges rising to the level of exceptional practical difficulties. In particular, presenters are instructed to exclude from their remarks any evidence of personal disputes or acrimony between the applicant and neighboring properties, because those are disputes that are not within the board's jurisdiction to resolve. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. With that, we'll begin the public hearing.
First, we have application A-23-15. The applicant and the owner are Bruce and Sherry Armstrong Kearns. Present zoning district is AR. Proposed variance is a variance from the requirement that an accessory structure may dominate the area of the principal structure by not more than 10%. Present use is residential. Proposed is same with accessory structure. Levy Court District 3rd for Mr. Angel. Located on the west side of Kenton Road, approximately 0.31 miles north of Beach Drive, west of Chesbald. You will see here that the existing dwelling that is in blue is 2,658 square feet to include porches and attached garages. The proposed building is 4,520 square feet. The maximum accessory building that is permitted is 2,923 square feet. This is looking north on Kenton Road, south. This is looking down the driveway from Kenton Road at the existing accessory structure that's on the parcel. The principal single-family dwelling. This is looking towards the back of the parcel, behind the home, at the accessory building, and the aerial. So, sir, if you would like to state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
All right, my name is Greg Grimminger, and my home address is 1870 Lockwood Chapel Road, Dover, Delaware.
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
You may continue.
Okay. I have some additional information, if I can pass out. Would that be possible? These are just hard copies of the estimates I got on the different buildings. Continue. All right. So hello, my name is Greg Grimminger. I'm speaking on behalf of Bruce and Sherry Kearns. I am Bruce and Sherry's son-in-law. And the end goal after all of this is said and done is that my wife, my daughter, I, and Bruce and Sherry are going to live on the same property, this Kenton Road property. Bruce and Sherry are going to transform the existing detached garage into a home. And once that's done, they're going to live there, and we're going to move into the existing house. In order to make that happen, we needed to build a pole building to take the place of the existing garage. Let's see. We needed to build it so we can move everything out of that garage so they can start the construction on transforming it into a house. After looking at several factors, we determined that the new building had to be larger than the existing building because it would have to accommodate 2 families that are living on the property and also their bee business. It would have to be bigger to accommodate that as well. Bruce and Sherry own and operate a growing honeybee business where they have beehives that they care for and take after, and they harvest the honey at the end of the year and to sell to people, you know. Let's see. They started with 3 hives 4 years ago and now have 31 hives. So that's about an 80% growth, which is pretty good for a small business. With the amount of hives they have now, they need to have enough room for 62 hive boxes to store over the winter, and then all the extra slides and whatnot. So that goes in the building right now, along with like tools and other equipment. Let's see. Their goal in the next 5 years is to have 100 beehives. This means they'll need to have enough storage for 200 plus box sections over the winter, plus all the extra frames that go in the boxes, and they're going to need extra freezers to store the honey until they can spin it out and bottle it to sell. They also need room to build the beehives for the future ones that they're going to put out. So they need room to build and store as well. The existing building, including the upstairs second floor, is 2,828 square feet, and it's pretty full. It has a bunch of tools, lawn and farm equipment in there, as well as their bee equipment and storage that I have right now. And I haven't even brought any of my tools or welding equipment or anything into the building, so I would definitely need more room. The new building we're proposing is 4,520 square feet. Now, the enclosed portion, that's at the actual building, the enclosed building, is going to be 3,000 square foot. Off to the side, toward where the arrow is going to be a 800 square foot lean-to or carport for the camper. And off the back is going to be a 720 square foot lean-to for our tractors, tractor equipment, metal, if I have extra, stuff that doesn't need to be indoors, it can still be outside, just covered, once we want it to be protected. So the enclosed portion of the building isn't much bigger than the allowed 2,923 square feet that would be per code. So basically we're just asking for the additional 800 square foot camper cover and the back lean-to. We could apply for an ag permit based on the honeybee business, but it's to my understanding that the ag permit you can only do ag stuff in that building. And we would want to make the building so that we could use it for other stuff, like parking the RV, changing the oil, fixing things around the house, not just for honeybees. So yeah, and we wanted to stay as honest and legal as possible. That's why we came here, to try to get a variance to make the building larger than what it would be permitted. As far as the questions go, a building would be in the nature of this zone. It's agricultural residential, and I'm sure you know that means you can have pole buildings as long as they're within the code. The characteristics and uses of the immediate vicinity is farm fields and single family homes, and some of which have pole buildings and barns on them already. Approving this variance would not affect the neighboring properties because directly next to the building is a large farm field. So it wouldn't be close to any neighboring houses, and you wouldn't be able to see it from the road due to all the woods up in front of our property and the neighbor's property. I guess it's kind of out of the view, but over on...
You can point, yep.
All right, over here, it comes up and there's this hedgerow as well. And then here's the field. The house is the building is gonna go right in this opening right here. So some of these houses might be able to see the building, but it also has that hedgerow to kind of cover it, make it not as seeable, I guess. Let's see, and yeah, one of the houses is a farmhouse, and there's a barn right here that's a lot larger than their farmhouse is right now. So failure to remove the restriction would cause an unnecessary economic hardship on us. After determining what size of a building we needed, I contacted our builder and to get a quote for that single 4,520 square foot building, and it came back as just under $100,000. And then after finding out about this restriction, the size of the restriction, I called him back and got another quote for 2 smaller buildings that would equal the same square footage and a standalone carport for the camper. And one of the buildings would be $58,746, and for the camper, the carport would be $22,835. Altogether for the 2 buildings, that's $140,327. So that's $40,000 more than it would be for just a single larger building. And that's not to even include all the, say we have to add extra driveway, extra clearing of land to put, the bigger footprint of multiple buildings on. And even though we would be permitted to do multiple smaller buildings, it wouldn't be cost effective, as it'd be $40,000 more. And I think that much would be, an economic hardship on anybody. So thank you for your time. Is there any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
Have any of your neighbors said no or showed any negative towards it?
Not that I know of. Miss Rita, the one that owns the property, she came over and just asked what the variance was about, and she seemed like she was for it. The neighbor down at the end of the driveway, right here, he said he was for it. He said he would come and back us up or whatever, but I didn't think it was necessary to have him come here. And I think that's all that we've been talked to.
Can you point with the arrow, the location of where this pole building will be located?
Yes, right here. And the clearing right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's an existing drive?
Right.
Like a gravel drive?
Yeah, it's like a crush and run up to the house, and then it's like a dirt drive right here.
Okay. And the property, the farm property next to it?
Right here.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So who owns that?
I'm not sure her first name. We call her Miss Rita.
Okay.
She has this barn right here.
Okay.
She lives in a house like right over here. Oh, and then Linda and Joe we talked to, the ones that own this property right here, and they didn't have anything negative to say about it as well.
So I have a question. It might be for staff. But when I read the staff report, it wasn't evident to me that the applicants were planning to build a second residence on the parcel, on the one parcel. Is that permissible?
It is, so they could go through the ADU process. They would be limited at 800 square feet unless they were able to show farm income. Then if they're able to show the farm income and become a bona fide farm, then they could have 2 homes on the parcel.
We have a LLC form and with the tax Schedule F tax information too here. We don't have copies of it, but if you wanted to see it, I go. Sorry. So we would be considered. But
you're saying you've received some approval to build 2 residences on the one parcel?
Yeah, you'll get a chance to come up after these questions.
I know they've talked to a lot of people here to try to figure out if it was possible, and I believe they said it was just a matter of permitting issues. So like they had to fill out a permit in order to turn that building into a house. They had, I believe they have a blueprint company looking at it right now to draw up internal sketches, I guess, of what it would look like, an as-built permit. Drawing, sorry.
Any other questions?
Is there currently a carport for the camper on the property?
There is not, no.
I think there was a picture of that
Yeah,
in the slides. There you go.
right next to it, to the old building. And as you can see, like we have a lot of stuff. There's a bunch of B boxes out the front that don't fit in there. So they have to store underneath the little cover on the front.
You made mention that the actual footprint, square footage of the enclosed proposed structure
Mm-hmm.
is less than that 4520. The 4520 is made up of the carport and also another lean-to in the back.
Yes, correct.
Do you by chance have that number, that square footage of the actual footprint of the building?
It's 3,000 square foot. Sorry.
It's what?
3,000 square foot. It's we proposed a 40 by 60 building, and then it's a 12 by 60 lean-to off the back, and then the carport on the side is 16 by 50 deep.
And they're open air.
Yeah, the carport and the lean-to are both open, yeah. The only enclosed is that 3,000 square foot, like shop area, storage and whatnot. Yeah, so like on this picture, I don't know if you need more explanation, but where that little notch is, the carport's off that side and lean-to's on the back.
And it's a one-story pole building?
Mm-hmm. There is going to be attic trusses, but it's not like
Yeah, right.
counted in square footage because under 7 foot.
Can you comment on why it is important for that building to be located in that spot?
Just as a ease of, like the driveway is already here and there's already a roadway back there, so it's already cleared as well. So it was convenience, but also their septic system for here, they had it tested for, can you go back to the aerial? The septic system for that house is going to be located in this clearing right here. So we don't want to be close to that septic system, or ours, the initial one, like obviously. So that was the open spot. It was going to cost the least amount to prep the land for the building.
Good. Any other questions? Good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Okay. If you would like to come forward, state your name and address, and allow our attorney to swear you in.
Sherry Armstrong Kearns,
Yep.
Sherry Armstrong Kearns, 4453 Kenton Road, Dover, Delaware, 19904.
Ms. Armstrong Kearns, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. We had been, I cannot remember the gentleman's name in the planning and zoning. That's horrible because he's been a huge help. The existing dwelling, we are trying to get an as-built plan. We have a fellow that's working on that. He's been very slow, but in the process, we've gotten our estimate on the well. We've gotten the soil samples for the septic, which has not gotten back yet to us yet, but preliminary I cannot remember the gentleman's name, but preliminary with the as-built drawing, we should be able to convert that into a residence. Everything kind of, nothing's final or approved, but just based on the information that we have exchanged, I've proceeded with, we're just waiting on the as-built drawing from the architect, but this has been going on quite some time. Business is big for them, I guess. So we just wanted to be able to have one building, decrease the footprint. The back part of the parcel that's open, that's clover, and we have honeybees back there. We don't, you asked about the only place to put a building. We really don't, we don't want to disturb more than we have to. We're trying to limit ourselves to just that area. There's enough activity going on around us and filling up land that we don't want to do that. We want to keep as much as possible open. And the road, like he said, already goes to the back on that side, and we wouldn't have to create and tear up a lot to get through. So I don't know if that answers the question about the accessory dwelling. And we do have I brought my taxes with me if you needed the form, but we do have a Schedule F, and we do have an LLC.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
So if for whatever reason you determined that you weren't going to go forward with your plans to convert that existing structure into a dwelling, would you not go forward with the building of this accessory structure?
Well, I'm pretty committed to going forward. I don't think that there was an option. I'll be quite frank with you. We're preparing for retirement, and I like my family to be, we want to be together, and this was kind of an answer so that we could continue building our business and be together as a family.
But the need for this larger structure is dependent in part on you having two residences on the site, right? You don't need it otherwise. Is that-
No.
So if the motion to approve the variance was contingent upon the construction of the second dwelling, would you object to that?
So as long as no, I wouldn't object to that. I think that, yeah, but they're asking, are you talking about permit process? Like if we come in, once we get our as-built drawing and we get our permit, is that contingent enough to get the permit?
For which structure? you're talking?
For the accessory dwelling.
For the dwelling?
Yeah, the accessory.
For the new dwelling,
Yeah.
right? Mhm. I'm sorry, I'm talking about the dwelling that you would live in?
Yeah, that's what the accessory dwelling is. What are we calling that?
Okay, accessory dwelling, okay.
The new place. I guess that's what you call it. That's what they referenced it when I was at planning. So are you suggesting that we could, we can't proceed with anything as far as building the structure until we can move the stuff out, but I can certainly start the process, like the septic and the well, and get the permitted stuff, the as-built drawings in. Is that contingent enough? Or are you saying that we have to take care, we have nowhere to put anything?
So I'm not a decision maker necessarily, and I don't know what, if any, contingencies will be, applied to a motion to approve, if there's a motion to approve.
Right.
But your case is based on the need that you have as a result of having two dwellings on that parcel, and you don't have two dwellings on the parcel yet.
Right.
So it might strike somebody as inappropriate if you were to build the building first and then decide you didn't need that second dwelling. You've changed your plans, and now you've got got this large structure which was meant to accommodate two dwellings, and you only have one.
I got you.
So that's kind of what I'm getting at. It doesn't seem to me that it's going to be possible for you to actually construct that new dwelling prior to getting started on this project.
No.
So it might not be mechanically possible to do that, but it may be that you could pull a permit. I don't know if there's something that could be recommended by staff as a condition.
I mean, conditionally, we could go through the application process for the permit on that building. It's not going to be done in 3 months, I mean, it's going to take us some time. I do have a builder that's, it's on his project list. So, I mean, we've made all the, we're working on all the arrangements. We just can't do that before we move stuff out.
Good. Any other questions? Nope. Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If you would just like to state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
Bruce Kearns, 4453 Canton Road, Dover, Delaware.
Mr. Kearns, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes. So I really don't have much to add. I think they pretty much covered everything. The only really additional thing that I wanted to say when you were asking about the location of the building. So originally this property was subdivided for a neighborhood. And we have a power box right here alongside the house that was set up for multiple family homes and everything. And that was another reason for the location of the building being right here, was we have a direct line to connecting power so we could have electricity and everything. But we looked all over the site. We were, considering over in this area, but access and electricity and everything else, the spot we came up with seemed to be the best place for the easiest access to get everything to it. So really that's all I had to add. I just wanted to.
Good. Any questions? Nope. Good. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor or opposition of this application?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor or opposition to application A23-15, please indicate by raising electronic hand at this time. See no hands raised online.
Thank you. Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for application A-23-15.
All right. Thank you. And that concludes the public hearings. Anyone need a break? I think we probably should be good. Yep. So you want to call to order? Get in a business meeting?
Yes, sir. Ms. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mr. Cusick?
Here.
Thank you. That's 6 still present.
Thank you. Now to approve the meeting minutes from May 18th, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Adjustment meeting on May 18, 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Notice of approval of the notice of decision from the May 18th meeting.
You need a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the following notices of decision A23-12, 13, and 14 for the May 18th, 2023 Board of Adjustment meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Hear no one. And we have old business
Yes, sir.
tonight.
So we have application A-22-13 for Dover Land Holdings. They are seeking a 1-year extension. They were granted variances from the maximum building height of 35 feet for buildings of 40 feet in height, and the 75-foot front setback from the major roadway from Route 1 to construct a self-storage facility. They are currently working on a site plan, and currently they've already met with staff, so they've already pre-apped, but they're not to the point of submitting the site plan just yet. So they are just seeking that 1-year variance, or I'm sorry, 1-year extension.
Thank you. Any discussion? Motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to grant a 1-year extension for application A22-13.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Want to call order?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gallo?
Am I able to vote on this?
You are able to vote on this. This is all the information that you need to know about whether or not this is an appropriate extension to grant was listed here in this letter. And I suppose there's somebody here who could represent this as well, right? So are there any questions that anyone has of the applicant to justify why they need the extension? No? Okay, so you can vote on it.
I approve the motion.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I vote in favor of the extension.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I also will vote in favor of the extension.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor of the extension.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
In favor per my motion.
Thank you. And Mr. Cusick?
Yes, I vote in favor of the extension.
Thank you. That's 6 in favor.
All right, now for the application A23-15.
And they were seeking the variance from the requirement that an accessory structure may dominate the area of the principal structure by not more than 10%. The principal structure on the property is 2,658 square feet. The maximum accessory structure that would be permitted, 10% larger than the principal structure, would be 2,923 square feet. They were proposing a building of 4,520 square feet, which is 1,597 square feet larger than the permitted.
I had a
Any
question.
discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
I had a question for staff, just to kind of play devil's advocate here. If they were to build a breezeway from the existing house to the existing garage, could they then have those square feet added together and then they could just build the accessory structure without a variance?
They could. So if this detached building was connected to the house, then it would count as an attached garage. It's hard to see in this area, but there is a good amount of distance there.
But they could.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm, sure.
I have a question for staff as well. If you could back up to the front picture of their existing dwelling, their house. Okay. That front porch on that house, according to the laws and the ordinances of Kent County, is that considered part of the square footage of that house?
Yes, so we just adopted a new zoning code that now includes all of the porches on the house, the attached garage, and then for the accessory building, it counts all of the porches, leans-to, carports, and all of the square footage on the accessory building as well. But the accessory building can now be 10% larger than the square footage of the home.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. That was my question as well.
Yes, so that zoning code just came into effect the end of April. So that's why they're permitted the 2,923. Prior to the new zoning code being adopted, it would have been even less than the 2,658 because we wouldn't have been able to include the front porch. So now we could include the front porch and give them an additional 10%.
I just have one comment. So, I mean, pretty much per testimony, the actual, say the structure is 3,000 square foot, and I mean, it's close to that. And then obviously the lean-tos is what's pushing it over pretty significantly.
I had another question for staff, another devil's advocate thing here. If they were to not attach the carport or the lean-to, but just had it built next to it, maybe like a foot off of it, so technically they would have 3 separate structures it would be allowed then?
So it would have to meet building code. I think to meet building code, they have to be separated by either 3 or 5 feet, depending on a firewall. But if they built the carport, say 5 feet or whatever to building code, and the same for the other lean-to structure, away from the building, then they would just be limited, each structure would be limited to the 2,923 square feet.
Yeah, and then the testimony pretty much tonight said, like, you looked at that prices, so it'll definitely be a price increase to do an additional structure.
That's what my thinking is, that if they just didn't have it all together, they wouldn't even need to be here. But the fact they want to put it together and that their garage wasn't attached to their house, they're here. So if the garage was attached, it wouldn't. It's not like the typical things that we see for variances with neighborhoods. They got 62 acres. They're not really surrounded by anything. They're in ag land. They could technically build the size of the building for ag purposes, and then it would be plausible and they would be permitted to have this size of a building. So the size of the building isn't really a deterrent for me. Well, I'll make a motion to approve A-2315. I don't see it, removing the restriction doesn't have a serious negative impact on neighboring properties, that the size of the building would be permitted underneath ag, and I believe the nature and the characteristic of the surrounding area does not change.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Call roll.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones?
I vote in favor of application A 21-15, based on exact same things that Mrs. Hudson said.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I vote against the motion. I don't see where they have reached that standard of exceptional practical difficulty.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of application A 21-15 for a couple of reasons. First, the location of the power source is very relevant to me in terms of trying to do this. The fact that we learned this evening that there's a second residence, which is driving a legitimate need for more storage in addition to the buildings and things that are going to be there. The building is already within the character of the area. So I vote in support of A 21-15 based on the testimony that was given to us this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of the application, or the motion for application A 2315 based on the testimony tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote yes per my motion.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote yes to approve application A 23-15. I think it fits within the immediate vicinity of the area. It's all ag land, as Ms. Hudson said. This could be an ag building and fit within the rights here. And then I don't see any impact on neighboring properties. As well, I see it as I think that per the testimony, they did their due diligence really to see if they can separate the building, and it looks like it was an economic hardship on their part if they did.
Thank you. That's 5 in favor of the motion, 1 opposed.
Thank you. With 5 approvals, application A 23-15 is approved.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.